right. Place my hands on my heart. Taking in that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. Just resting in this deliciousness of being with all of you in this heart space in this brand new year. So grateful for this opportunity to come together to be the two or more gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful for our willingness to remain open-hearted, open-minded. Grateful for our desire and our willingness to shine away any and all blocks to love. We're grateful to love and be loved. Grateful for this beautiful community and the love and compassion and kindness that is shown to each person in our group. Grateful to send some loving energy to Carol as she is dealing with COVID, and to Ted as he is traveling to Florida, and just blessing everybody here and all those who may listen later. We ask that our earthly and heavenly helpers surround and support us, support the technology we get to use to come together, bless us and guide us. We are open receptors of their healing love. And we're grateful that we get to share that healing, all of the blessings, wisdom, inspiration, and the love that we are with everyone because we're one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. So I'm feeling a little extra mellow today because I took an antihistamine to deal with these itchy bumps that I have that I'm not sure what they are. So I'm a little more chill than usual, but that's okay. So we're beginning chapter 27, the healing of the dream, the picture of crucifixion. And highlighted quite a bit in here. But I think what I would like to start us off with is actually paragraph 10, because I was inspired by that paragraph. So it says, into this empty space from which the goal of sin has been removed is heaven free to be remembered. Here its peace can come and perfect healing take the place of death. The body can become a sign of life, a promise of redemption, and a breath of immortality to those grown sick of breathing in the fetid scent of death. Let it have healing as its purpose. Then will it send forth the message it received, and by its health and loveliness, proclaim the truth and value that it represents. Let it receive the power to represent an endless life, forever unattacked. And to your brother, let its message be, behold me, brother, at your hand I live. And when I read that, for some reason, and I'm just going to share it because it came to me, I got this idea that it might be helpful for me and for all of us if we do a brief meditation. I don't know, I'm feeling like just doing it for a minute or two, a few times a day, maybe in the morning, in the evening, and once in the middle of the day, where we have just some quiet moments with our hand on our heart in kind of a contemplative meditation. And imagine that when we exhale, that we're releasing anything that's no longer serving us. And when we inhale, we're inhaling the all good of God. healing, purity, beauty, joy. So that is my challenge for you this week, to take in a few moments of meditation, just for a minute or so, a few times a day, where we are contemplating life and death really on the breath. So exhaling the fear and anything that's no longer serving us, any attachment that we have to death or the body, and then just inhaling the all good of God. Just inhaling the all good of God. I know that there are several groups that do meditation on death itself. And in particular, when they do it, they do a breathing technique where they inhale and they hold the inhale, and then they exhale, and then they hold the exhale, or they just wait for the next inhale. And that exhale, and then pausing with that exhale, is where they are contemplating their own death. And I just feel like, not in a morbid way, but it's such a way for us to really appreciate the life that we have exactly as it is, and just allow ourselves to steep in the goodness that we actually are experiencing in any given moment, and let go of any ideas that something is bad or good. Just knowing that it's all good, all good, all the time. All right. So that's where I'm starting us off. So who else would like to share or comment either on what
I
I
would
shared?
just like to say that I struggled a little bit with this reading. I had to read it a couple times and then go into the text made simple part of it and get it a little bit. But one thing that stood out to me, that Jennifer is so right, that all the problems begin with this separation, because
Yes.
even this crucifixion couldn't happen without the belief in separation.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking of you when I read this, Deborah, too, thinking, how it must feel challenging to folks that have the appearance of severe illnesses and disabilities in this life, whether physical, mental, or otherwise. And yeah, so I'm so glad that you are the first person speaking up, because I was really, you were on my mind the whole time I was reading this morning.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And one of the things I struggled with that reading was this idea that, in this crucifixion process, I mean, one of the precursors is that you have to see the world kind of hostile. The outside world, yourself is separate, and the world is hostile.
Yeah.
And then there's the part about, your brother comes into it. And I'm still struggling with that aspect a little bit, of the guilt in that. So maybe you could clarify that a little for me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like part of that is where he's talking about, and I'm pretty sure I circled it. Let me see. Okay, we're in paragraph 2, where he says, in your release from sacrifice is his made manifest and shown to be his own, but every pain you suffer, do you see as proof that he is guilty of attack? Thus
Yeah,
would you
that
make,
part of it.
yeah. So, and what I was getting when I was reading that was, and I don't know that this is true for every being in every moment, when it comes to any appearance of sickness or disease. But the image that I got when I was reading that which is comical, and which was good because it was allowing me to laugh, which was the image in A Christmas Story. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, the one with Ralphie, where he's looking for he wants to get that BB gun, and his parents make him wash his mouth out with soap. And he has this vision, this dream of going blind from soap poisoning and knocking on the door of his parents' home after he's gone blind, and entering in with a blind person's cane. And they, and they're like, Ralphie, did we do anything to cause this? And he, what has brought you to this? And he's like, soap poisoning. And it's just the way he's so dramatic about it that makes me laugh. And I feel like there is in some way, that's what our appearances of illness are about. But I'm not even sure if it's from this lifetime or other lifetimes that we have make this agreement to come into this earth to have experiences of illness of one kind or another. So when I can look at it that way, and then I can kind of be a little more lighthearted about it, and look at it as though this is just how we chose to play. This is how we just chose to play on this playground with whatever cards were dealt, good, bad, or otherwise. I don't know. Does any of that make sense to you, Deborah?
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's sustaining that attitude that I find difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
I can have momentary glimpses of it, but then it goes.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, honestly, that's why this is a practice, because I don't think we're expected to do it perfectly all the time in every single second of every single day. Sustaining perfection is not the goal. So if, once we realize that we're in that space where we're not remembering to laugh, we're not remembering that this is all an illusion, a dream, and we're buying into feeling like this is real.
Yeah, thank you, because one of the things I experienced when I was first reading this was, kind of getting down on myself. Well, I just don't understand how the ego works, and I don't know this well enough. I don't understand it. I need to study it more.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, honestly, I feel like when stuff like that comes up, all it is a cry for love. So, when you're feeling like you're failing, or you're not doing as well as you feel like you should be doing, or you're not as far as you feel like you should be, all you're doing is you're calling for more love. So love yourself more. And reach out to people who can love on you too.
Okay,
reach
Linda,
out
thank
to,
you.
you're welcome. Reach out to our group, and we can send you love and prayers and support you in that way. Thanks, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Derwin. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon to everybody, and a Happy New Year to those that I have not said Happy New Year to yet. I just wanted to comment a small thing on the meditation that you just reminded us about, Linda. Sometimes when I think of meditation, I think of a 30-minute sit, and I really need to sit 20 or 30 minutes. But just as you were speaking about it, for that 1 minute or 2 minutes, those seconds that you were talking about it, I took it in. And just before you mentioned that part of having a pause, that some people have this pause for contemplation, I felt that I needed to implement the pause to switch from inhaling the good, the nature, pause, finding some stuff that I would like to exhale, which is the fear, and then exhale, and have that contemplation switch again when I inhale. And then you said it. So I just want to reinforce what you said, Linda. Thank you.
You're welcome, Derwin. Thank you. Yeah, in Finding Freedom, Jennifer does this really amazing meditation where you're imagining the green light, love, energy from Mother Earth coming in through your feet and your torso, whatever is touching the ground or the floor. And then you're breathing all of that in and then sending it out through the top of your head. And then when you're breathing in the next inhale, you're breathing in the white light of, God, spirit, creator, whatever illumination you believe. And it's coming in through the top of your head and filling every, this white sparkly light, filling every part of your being, and then going out down into the earth. And it's kind of the same thing. It's that I feel like the breathing meditations are so helpful because we can attach to it anything we would like, really, taking in good stuff, letting go of stuff that's not serving us. So yeah, thank you. I love breath meditations and breath work in general. It's been very helpful for me, especially experiencing anxiety. It's really good to have those kind of things on hand. Thank you, Derwin. Leslie.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
2022. Hard to believe. So I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, and I know we've talked about this before, but when I read the word sin, what's another name for sin? Separateness?
Yeah, separation. But in reality, there is no sin. We only have a thought about it or a belief about it. And that, anything that we think is a sin is just an error in our perception, an error in our thinking, illusion. Yes. Thank you, Derwin.
Okay, so paragraph 9, my function is to show my brother sin can have no cause. How futile must it be to see myself a picture of the proof that what my function is can never be. And this is the part I love about this paragraph. The Holy Spirit's picture changes not the body into something it is not. It only takes away from it all signs of accusation and of blamefulness. Pictured without a purpose, it is seen as neither sick nor well, nor bad nor good. I'm with Deborah too. I thought this was a very difficult read. I'm just, even the part you read, Linda, I'm just like, yeah, but what does that mean? Because basically the bottom line is these bodies are not real. It's just an illusion, but they can feel extremely real to us, obviously, especially if you're in pain or your body's not doing something you want it to be able to do. So I think part of it is to be the observer and to identify with my higher consciousness and just kind of be the witness and watch how I am being reactive to something about my body, which the bottom line is it really doesn't matter what the body's doing or not doing, even though it feels like it matters a whole lot. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, I feel that you are. Exactly. Absolutely. Like I was talking to Grace before everybody came in. I've had these little red bumps all over me. I'm not quite sure what they are, but they itch like crazy. And I'm not trying to attach any meaning to it. Yes, I took a magic pill.
Absolutely.
And antihistamine to try and deal with the itchiness a little bit because it's like the itchiness reminds me of is like when my son was little, maybe 3 or 4, and he would just go, mom, mom, mom. mom over and over again. That's the itchiness. So I'm like, I don't want to hear mom, mom, mom while I'm doing this group today. So I'm just going to take an antihistamine, little magic pill. So I'm not
Well,
itchy.
yeah, and I mean, I'm into essential oils big time right now, and it's like I'm sniffing my peppermint, and it's magic,
Yes.
and I love magic, and it's beautiful. It gives me energy, and I just like it. So,
Yeah.
and I love how the Holy Spirit doesn't see me as a body. That's to me, it's
Yes.
comforting. It doesn't see me as sick or healthy. It just sees my spirit, and I know that is my function, is to be the light and the love, and to see the light and love in all my brothers. And
Yeah.
not to see somebody as disabled or sick. And yet I can also be truly helpful. And if there's something I can do to be helpful, then of course I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah. And words are but symbols of symbols. So if you don't understand it, doesn't matter.
Right. Right. I just, yeah, the body is definitely the ego's hero.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. Amira.
Hi, everybody. I'm not going to turn on my video because I'm still in my pajamas. But
Okay.
so I'm going to read paragraph 3, but I have a question after that, and I want to see if my understanding about this whole reading is correct. So paragraph 3, it says, whenever you consent to suffer pain, to be deprived, unfairly treated, or in need of anything, you but accuse your brother of attack upon God's Son. You hold a picture of your crucifixion before his eyes, that he may see his sins are writ in heaven in your blood and death, and go before him, closing off the gate and damning him to hell. Yet this is writ in hell and not in heaven, where you are beyond attack and prove his innocence. The picture of yourself you offer him, you show yourself and give it all your faith. The Holy Spirit offers you to give to him a picture of yourself in which there is no pain and no reproach at all. And what was martyred to his guilt becomes the perfect witness to his innocence. So the way I made sense of this whole reading, and it was a difficult reading, I had to read it a few times myself, was that, sickness is really my way of crucifying my brother, but in the process of sacrificing myself. So making sacrifice real. And my question to you, and that makes sense, right? And like, okay, you did this, and it's like, I'm putting the knife in my own heart, but I'm like, you're the one who's doing this to me. But then what about those that come into this world already with ailments, like a child that has, infantile cancer or some sort of, deformity, all those things. And I know probably you're going to say it's, time isn't real and lifetimes and whatnot, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, I can only take a guess, basically, but my feeling is that we get to choose what our experience is going to be in this life before we come here, and that it's like we have this huge menu to choose from of different experiences. And if we look at it as if it's kind of a playground that, we get to choose, okay, I'm going to come into this life this time around, and I'm going to have the appearance of cancer just to see what that is like, to experience it. Or I'm going to come into this lifetime and be an infant that passes from SIDS, that I'm not here for very long. I'm just having this one very brief experience. We can't really say what that's for. But if we really believe that this life is an illusion, and Jesus is asking us to laugh, remember to laugh, that we have to look at it as if it's just a playground that we're playing in. that we're getting this opportunity to experience whatever it is we're experiencing, and to remember that it's impersonal. It's not, you're not being punished with illness, or you're not being punished with a loved one that has illness. And that loved one that has illness is not being punished with that illness. It's just the selection of the menu that they chose, like on a video game where you can choose to have different outfits and different weapons and different, magical powers and stuff like that. We just chose to have these things when we came in here, just to play with it.
Yeah, that makes it feel a lot more gentle. And I guess one could even look at like that child that dies from SIDS or whatever, dies, quote unquote, is, we don't know, because we're all interconnected, that child may be serving another purpose for somebody else. It's not,
Yes.
it's because it's all interconnected. So,
Yes.
okay. That makes, that's much more gentle. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I can speak from my own experience. My husband and I, when I was in my mid to late 30s or 20s, experienced infertility. And so I was doing fertility treatments for a couple of years, unsuccessfully. And I finally did get pregnant, and I was pregnant, what I knew of being pregnant, for just a couple of weeks before we realized that the fetus was in my fallopian tubes. And, we had to make that really challenging decision to end that pregnancy. And I ended up with a full hysterectomy. There was a lot more going on there. And so I had to reconcile that. And it was not easy. It took years, even decades for me to reconcile it. And I went into deep depression, probably a good 5 years after that. But what I can tell you now, being able to look back on it, hindsight 2020 and all that, is it gave me an opportunity to understand more fully the reason why I stuck around when I had my own near-death experience when I was a baby, so that I wouldn't leave my mother feeling the way that I was feeling, with such grief, because she had a tendency towards depression as well. It allowed me to grasp the concept that that little being only came here long enough to experience the extreme amount of love that was being bestowed on it, because we had waited for 2 years to get pregnant. So there was a lot of love given to that baby, even though it never got a chance to see the world. And that's all it needed. That's all it needed from me. So it helped me to come to peace with it. So I can't say for certain that that's what the purpose of that life experience was for me or for that other being. But that's the insights that I have gleaned from the experience.
It's beautiful, Linda. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for bringing it up, Hamira. Gwen.
I really appreciate what you just said, Linda. That's such a beautiful insight and perspective to hold, I really liked your opening comments and suggestion about the meditation, because so often, we think we have to go into deep meditation, take half an hour, whatever. And I just love that reminder, because we can just pause just a few moments. And I'm working from home. My work computer is right here next to me. And between a call, I can just close my eyes very quickly, and have that moment to shift And that's all it takes, is just a couple of moments. And you were talking about illness, and I was thinking of some really deep, difficult, emotional, mental things I went through a number of years ago, and how, I'd read, well, just embrace it. What you resist persists. So I kept crying, said, okay, God, whatever I need to heal. And at some point, something did come to me that through consciousness work, something I embraced that actually my brother suggested. And it's something I've been doing for like 13, 14 years that I intend to continue through the rest of my life. And I know that through the work, the things that I handled really are removed. I know they're permanently removed from my consciousness. And all these, some of the reading and the material was, really challenging to grasp. But if we can just get quiet a moment and just take, maybe one or two comments, it really does help uplift. And when you were talking about illness and the body and whatever, what came to me was, I kind of hesitated to share, but through COVID, we're sitting more, whatever, we're at home, I've gained some weight, not happy about that. And it's interesting because my partner and I both have some body issues. I've gained some weight. He's quite thin, and it's very interesting. And we live in different states, and he just left actually yesterday to go back and got caught up in the whole COVID delays for travel. And it's quite interesting because I'm feeling extremely humbled with the experience that I'm having with him. He's actually stated he feels like we're the Christ in each other's lives. And though I've gained weight, this person, how do I put this, actually appreciates how I am and how I look right now, though I've gained weight. And I was trying not to cry, because here I was judging myself, my body, and here's this person reflecting to me that how I am right now is totally beautiful, acceptable. And I just felt like, my God, what a gift. And then I can then, remind myself not to judge, and just let go and be. And it's just a really interesting, beautiful experience, extremely humbling, so humbling. But I always want to say thank you to everyone, because everyone's input here and the comments you all make are just so beautiful and so helpful. And I just want to acknowledge everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Gwen. And you're spectacularly beautiful, my friend. You really are, inside and out. Yeah. Oh, Priscilla.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for all the sharing. When Homera asked her question, that always reminds me that passage on John when the disciples of Jesus asked him, because there was a blind man, and they asked him who sinned, if his parents or this man that he was born blind. And Jesus says, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. And as long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. And while I am in the world, I am the light of the world. And that makes me think that sometimes we came too quick to judge the situation that we're going through. And we don't know what anything is for. And we don't know if this is, if I'm being presented with someone that is having like this really sad illness or something like that. I don't even know if I'm the one who's supposed to be doing the pray, the affirmative prayer of healing for that person. So yes, as you said with your beautiful story, sometimes the baby dies, and in that grief, the parents meet God. And it happens to me last year with my father-in-law. He had a terrible accident, and he was in bed for almost 8 months. And now he's in a wheelchair. And I talked to Jennifer about it, and he said, you have to remind him his wholeness, because that's the thing that is missing. And that's been my prayer since then. And he has such a positive attitude, but sometimes it's hard. But we're just keep there in praying. And I see him whole. Doesn't matter if he's in a wheelchair. We're still seeing him whole. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Yeah, sending love and prayers and blessings to your father-in-law, seeing him whole as well. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Leslie, go ahead.
I like what you just shared, Priscilla. Thank you. And it's, if I heard you correctly, I think I know what you mean when sometimes I hesitate to pray too. And Robin, you taught me this, like you can still pray for what you want, but just pray at the end that God's will be done. And I love that. God's will be done. I mean, my precious niece, Abby, who's pregnant for the second time, she has COVID right now. She's in her 3rd trimester and she is sick. And I feel so bad for her. And my ego wants to worry about the baby. And I pray for perfect pregnancy and perfect delivery and perfect baby. And yet God's will be done. I don't know what's best for her path. I don't know what's best for the baby's path. I don't know what their pre-birth plan is. Sometimes my mom and I tease her when we talk about coming back in this lifetime together, that we'll be together again. And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I don't think so. I think I want to be with the angels for a while. I might come back like for 9 months in your uterus, but that's it. I'm done. Now I need a break. but that's, I don't know how, and I don't want to make light of anything, but because as Robin knows well, I deal with women who lose their babies a lot, and it's just devastating, but God's will be done. I'm so grateful, Robin, you reminded me of that many times. Love you.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Robin.
Oh, Linda,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Just listening to Leslie. Do you have any comments about this trend of manifesting? Because it's everything that I'm seeing, and I'm finding really particular that no one says God's will be done, or if it's the will of God, or right, that it's kind of like the first thing that we learn when we learn how to pray, and when we see. And now it's this trend, like, you can manifest it, babe. You can manifest it. Just the law of attraction will work if you just have nice thoughts. And then, and it doesn't work. Any thoughts on the manifesting trend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like the manifesting trend is, the law of attraction is, it feels to me kind of like the commercial spiritualism. Like, we're going to lure bunches of people that have really no interest in being spiritual by telling them you can get all the stuff you want by using this law of attraction. And I feel like you probably can, but really, do we want more stuff? Do we really want consumerism to rule our spiritual life, our spiritual being? Oh, hell no. Hell to the no. I do not want God to be working at a McDonald's asking me if I want fries with that. I don't. I really don't. And I, like Leslie said, I feel that it's still okay to have preferences. It's still okay to have wants and desires and to ask for what you would like, but to know that what you're going to receive is what you're supposed to receive, and that is really the blessing. And to say, thy will be done, or this or something better, Lord, whatever prayer that you are using, even if you're trying to manifest, like our friend Kelly George, whose car engine blew up, even if you're trying to manifest a new car, you're just going to say, this or something better, Lord, because honestly, we do not know what the best is. Maybe her car blew up because a few days from after that happened, she was going to get into a horrible accident. Who knows what the reason is for her car blowing up? The mechanic can say because there wasn't enough oil in it or whatever, but we don't know what the true meaning of this manifestation is. So this or something better, Lord. Yes, she will get a new car eventually when it's time for her to have one, if it's time for her to have one. And at the same time, she can desire and hope to manifest a new car, or at least a new to her car, but we don't know what the highest and best is. We don't know what God's plan is for her. So absolutely, thy will be done every single time. So I feel like this whole law of attraction manifestation thing is the commercialization of our spirituality. And you know what? If we bring a few folks along with us by luring them in that way, so be it. Hopefully they're better for it.
Well, Linda, I want to respond to Leslie about the preferences. Jennifer was teaching about making plans, and it was like, don't make any plans, get out there in the unknown. That's what you got. And she said, my goodness, I make plans all the time. She said, but I make the plans and then I turn it over. Yes. And I'm opening, and I open. If the plan is changed, there's this sense of, this is what I'm really meant to do. And that has just been in everything, not only making plans, but your preference. If someone is ill, my preference would be healing and getting better, but then you turn it over and there is this sincere, deep desire for the plan, or maybe not all the time, but in making plans or in preferences, but then being able to turn it over, there is such grace there, because I can trust and know truly that higher self knows better than I do. So yeah. Leslie, thank you for thinking of me, but it came from Jennifer in spirit, and it really has been a tool that I use so often, and is helpful. I didn't take any magic pill, but I've been through some magic. I'll just add this. I've noticed that I want to just do a long meditation so I can sit quietly and close my eyes and listen to you all, because I had my son. For a moment, if I can just say, I had my son and my daughter-in-law and 3-year-old granddaughter here for Christmas. And the magic, and I know in the Course in Miracles, there's no magic, but from the tiniest detail, I lived in flow for a week. And it was just, and this happens every time they come, which is like once a year at Christmas. And they left yesterday, and so I'm kind of feeling like this. but it wasn't. It was only because we might stay up a little late, and I had a late night with my daughter-in-law, and we talked about God. We've never done that before. The being with my 3-year-old, just I have these 2 lovely books about yoga with kids, and so before she left, I brought those both, and we were doing yoga together. And I'll end on this. Noelle, her mother, said, well, we're going to go to we're going to go on a trip. And she said, oh, and we're going to go see Gran. And she said, oh, well, I don't know how she responded. She said, and Piper said, she lives under the trees. Now, guys, I have a big pecan tree that I love, and that tree loves me. And we sit under that tree and we have a bird bath, and it's just heaven for me. I walk out to my back door and I can put my hand on my heart when I need an uplift. And I just see that tree. And for her to say that to her mother, well, I started crying. She said, I knew you would start crying. We were both.
That's
so anyway,
awesome, Robin.
I just wanted to share, you guys, that with all the troubles that I caused for myself, and there are places where I can let go and let God, and the experience of being with beloved people that I don't get to see often, and just have that. I thank you for letting me share that with you. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have done it, but thank you, Leslie, for the opening. So, thanks.
Thank you, Robin. So glad you got to spend time with your family under the trees.
I just want to say, Robin, that so lifted and shifted me. You wouldn't believe. That share was so beautiful. Thank you.
See?
Thank you.
The opening
Thank
of
you.
the mouth.
Thank
All right,
you.
Kathleen, Grace, and then Nancy Gale.
Hi, everybody. I was late because I had internet problems, so I missed the first discussion. But what I was looking at is 11. Well, actually, the sentence above that, for now the body is witnesses to nothing, its purpose being open and the mind made free. Again, to choose what it's for. Now it's not condemned, but waiting for a purpose to be given, that it may fulfill the function that it will receive. Within this empty space from which the goal of sin has been removed, is heaven free to be remembered. I've been finally reading Zero Limits. And as I understand that, where that open space is when we are not in memory at all. And memory is where our goals and what we want come from. And that's where most of our opinions and judgments come from, is memory. And so in that book, they teach you how to go out of that subconscious, where they say the memory resides, and into the superconscious, where it's just memory. I mean, not memory at all, inspiration. So you get out of the past and out of the memory, and you go into this empty space, and now you're open to inspiration. And maybe some people that read Law of Attraction can do that. Maybe they can get to an empty space. I've been also blown away by the way that they talk about what we're responsible for. That if we hear of anybody anywhere that is having a problem with their body, we are responsible for it. We're responsible for every single thing that happens in the world. And then we can go into the Ho'oponopono, and you could chant that all day long and think about different parts of your own body, parts of other people's bodies. But I've just really been blown away by that book, and how they specifically talk about the difference between the subconscious and the superconscious. I don't even know if they're using those words, but memory is not the place where you want to do anything from. But if you're doing the meditation and chanting, whatever, it gets you to the open space, now you're going to get inspiration, and then it's up to us to act on it. And if you've read the book, amazing things that happened to the author that went looking for the other guy, the guy that was doing the actual healing, the changes in his life and in his business, and all the testimonials in that book, the amazing miracles that happen to people when they start chanting Ho'oponopono. And so it's just, I'm trying to find connections between that and this, talking about this empty space from which the goal of sin has been removed, is heaven free to be remembered. Here its peace can come and perfect healing take the place of death. The body can become a sign of life. And Zero Limits doesn't talk much about the body. That type of healing doesn't really talk much about the body, except that you can heal it. So, and then down at the bottom, This leaves no space in which a different view, another purpose can be given. You don't know its purpose. You but gave illusion of a purpose to a thing you made. So that was what I was going to ask. What is the purpose of the body? But I think we pretty much know is to reach out to others and to be truly helpful in whatever way that makes sense. So to say I love you all day long is so easy. It's just mind-boggling to me how easy it is to do the Ho'oponopono and just watch miracles happen. I hope. Oh, and
Absolutely.
my radio keeps getting turned on at night.
Oh, I wonder who that is.
No, I think it's my ex-husband, Ram. Who
Okay.
knows? It's always tuned to a Jesus station, which I would never tune in by myself. Talking about trusting God or here comes Jesus or something, it's really cool.
That is really cool. Aw. I'm so glad he's speaking to you that way, Kathleen. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're enjoying Zero Limits, one of my favorite books that Jennifer introduced to us. Yeah. Thank you. Grace.
Kathleen, what paragraph did you just read from, please, sweetie? That last bit.
The very last, well, it was 11 and 12.
Oh, okay, 11 and 12. Okay.
10, 11 and 12.
I always go blank when it's my turn to speak. Put my hand up and I know what I want to say, and now I don't. So Kathleen, I want to talk about something that you said. I do know that. Yeah, I did a lot, after I saw The Secret, I did a lot of manifesting for myself, money, relationships, quite a lot of things. But what The Secret left out was the Holy Spirit. So it was working on the level of effect, that's the movie screen of our life, but not on the level of cause. What's causing our life to be like this? And so this last year, working on cause and forgiveness and loving other people and accepting people. I've had a chronic illness since I was 12, and that's gradually being eroded away. Just from listening to people who speak love and care for each other in groups like this. And just from practicing forgiveness and the Ho'oponopono. So I have to say, when you are sick and in a lot of pain, it's not very easy to practice this stuff, especially if we're talking about extreme pain here. It's very hard for the mind to take over and remember all that we know about what sickness is, but it is gradually doable. So I wanted to look at paragraph 4 and get some help with it. The power of witness is beyond belief because it brings conviction in its way. The witness is believed because he points beyond himself to what he represents. A sick and suffering you, but represents your brother's guilt. The witness that you send, lest he forget the injuries he gave, from which you swear he will never escape. This sick and sorry picture you accept, if only it can serve to punish him. The sick are merciless to everyone. Oh, heavens. That was a shock to read. The sick are merciless to everyone, and in contagion do they seek to kill. Death seems an easy price if they can say, behold me, brother, at your hand I die. For sickness is the witness to his guilt, and death would prove his errors must be sins. Sickness is but a little death, a form of vengeance not yet total. Well, that was shocking to me, a person who's been sick. And does somebody want to help me with understanding that paragraph? I kind of understand it, but can we talk about it?
Yeah,
And
I
at
feel
some
like,
level, we're all a little bit sick because our brains are insane, the ego brain.
yeah. And again, I feel like what comes to me when I think about this again is that Ralphie in the Christmas Story, soap poisoning, that thing, and just remembering to laugh that we came into this life deciding that we were going to have this experience and to have a lightness of being about it, not make it so dang serious, which, like you said, Grace, is so much easier when you're not in pain all the time. I'm sure Rand could speak to that tenfold. And yeah, so that's my understanding of it. I don't know if anybody else can speak to that or would like to speak to that. Go ahead, Kathleen.
It kind of reminds me of when I had cancer and I lost all my hair, so everyone knew I had cancer. And there was people that definitely did not want to be around me. And I was kind of hurt about that at the time, but then I totally forgave them because I got it, that they saw in me a sign of death, you know, that they were very afraid that they might also get cancer. I was going to make a shirt that says cancer is not contagious. I never did, but it might be a good idea. But I guess for people to look at people who are ill, maybe that does bring up all kinds of fear about death and sickness and stuff. So I guess that's what they're saying. But I don't think I was consciously witnessing. Maybe I was, I don't know, consciously witnessing to wanting attention, you know, and wanting something that the ego was thinking was missing from my life. Who knows? I mean, it just seems to just happen, you know, but thinking back at it, I'm like, And then I got completely better. So it didn't seem like that big a deal in retrospect. And I have not been ill since, just, you know, having a total knee or something. So yeah, it's all mysterious. It feels mysterious, but I really want to get what they're saying, and also that we can heal each other. Absolutely, that we are healers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like too, there's a component of what's coming to my mind now is like maybe in a past lifetime, we were a caregiver to somebody that was chronically ill for decades or something, and we did not have a lot of compassion for that. So in this lifetime, we decide to come into this world and have the illness so we can receive the compassion, and so that we can learn how to be compassionate with ourselves, because I know that's one of the things that my father said for as long as I can remember, that he never wanted to be chronically ill or a burden to his loved ones. And, you know, that was his version of hell, of being incapable of taking care of himself and having to allow his family to take care of him. So he chose to go out with a aortic aneurysm. He was gone within minutes, you know. So he got his wish. And you know, I'm not saying that to say that I'm blaming him for that, or that, you know, that choice was wrong or bad for him, or that choice was right for him or whatever. But we all have these experiences, and if we just allow the experience to happen and don't put so much density and meaning on it, then it just makes life a little bit easier to deal with, even when things are really challenging.
Linda, I know we're out of time, but I had to share, you know, Kathleen, when she shared about the cancer situation and how people were looking at her, it reminded me of a piece earlier in the text. I don't know if it's in the blue book that we're reading, but it's definitely in one of the cameos in the purple book, where Bill Thetford was being asked by Jesus to go to a hospital to meet with these patients. And he was really reluctant to do that because of what it was bringing up for him.
Yes.
This existential like thing that we have when we see a sick person. So aside from, I think what I just got from that, what Kathleen shared, is aside from when we're sick, we're trying to accuse our brothers of crucifying us, to really, when we do see someone sick, to see their wholeness is what I just constantly see their wholeness and send that message to them that you're perfect, whole, and complete.
Yes.
So thank you, Kathleen, for clarifying that in my mind. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Humira. Nancy Gale, can you be quick? Because we're already past time. There you are.
Yes, my fingers. What Robin was saying about Jennifer was saying, taught about the preference thing. I've been practicing that. And it's like even yesterday when we were at the clinic and everything, they were trying to make on a future appointment and everything and all this stuff. And I just made a statement. I said, if you can you put a note in there? I prefer afternoons. I said, just blah, blah, blah. Anyways, and then with my daughter, it's like I keep saying, thinking and saying, I prefer. This is what I prefer. But then when Robin was talking and said that, the thought came to me, what you said was, no attachments. Don't.
Yes.
This is what I prefer. And you can, think that way, but then don't make an attachment to it's gotta be that way. That's not what I mean when I say prefer. I would really like that, but don't attach, doesn't have to be that way. That's the thought that came, I added to that thing, and that's why it works.
Yes.
And that's why everything is, I'm in this flow too, Robin. It's so awesome. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's like, and the other, well, I forgot what the other thing was. There was another piece here, a different thing. Oh, it's with David. He's in the process of his dying and at the end and with his cancer. And it's like, I've known him 30 years, and our very first conversation was about God. And he said, I'm an agnostic. I said, what's that? He said, I know there's a God, but I don't believe like in a personal God, like whatever. That was 30 years ago. And a couple weeks ago, we did a conversation. It's like, I'm trying to make this short. My mental thinking of, because he's sick and it's been all, and I'm thinking, I was in the mode of, I'm angry about this, and it's like, why does it, blah, 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 blah. And then recently I switched and I started seeing him, the truth, who he is, see him, it's like this. And I just, you guys were talking, it's like I just realized, or I actually was realizing last night, I've kind of like, I'm at peace with it all. And I said, well, wait a minute, how did I get to this peace? Why am I peaceful? But it's like, I'm not exactly sure why, but it's like, I know my mind has changed about it and what it's for. And he's putting on the Caring Bridge, the things that he's posting is like his feeling, that has totally changed. And I know him well enough to know how he's thinking, and it's like, it's awesome, it's beautiful. This is a really cool experience, and it's really simple. Make the choice of how I think about think the truth, see the truth, and think the truth. And that's all I have to do, and that's keeps me in the flow, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Do what you want with all that. For listening.
Yeah,
and thank
thank
Robin.
you.
I agree with I forgot who it was, that every time I hear you and I hear your prayers, and it's like I read your prayers in the chat, it's like I just feel so good. And so I just feel the love. That's all I feel when I hear you and when I read your prayers. Yeah. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Nancy Gale. Yeah, we can feel that part of you that sits under that tree, Robin, when you when you share. Absolutely. And Nancy Gale, I'm so happy to hear that your friend David's attitude is feeling more uplifting to him and to those around him. I can remember my mom and dad's friend, well, my dad's very best friend, Doug, who had cancer and died in the 80s. I missed the end of his life, but I remember two of the things that I remember, and I'm bringing us over time even more. Oh, well, I'm blaming it on the, not the antibiotics, on the anti-itch medication. The first thing is that he was an alcoholic for a lot of decades of his life. And so near the end of his life, he walked into a bar and sat down and ordered a drink, drank the drink and walked out, just to prove that that alcohol did not have power over him anymore. And I can remember, this is the man who inspired me to continue to read A Course in Miracles, because him and my parents all got into it around the same time, but he like lived it. He lived it. And I remember my mom and dad telling me about, this was after he passed, but they were telling me about right near the very end of his life. He was over at their house for dinner, and I was living in California at the time. They were here in Pennsylvania, in Erie. And Doug was sitting at the end of the table with his back to the windows. And that whole area of the room just started to light up. And the light was coming from within him. It wasn't coming from the window outside. And my parents got to witness it, and none of them said a word about it. They were just like staring at each other. And Doug was he just had like this shitty grin on his face from ear to ear. And I can still hear the joy in my parents' voices when my dad was telling me the story about this man that they loved so much, and they knew he was not long for this world. And he was like showing them the truth of what we are, which is that loving light within us all. So thank you for reminding me of that.
There's one, I got Sonam Tarji, he's an Ayurvedic practitioner, known for years, and he was the son of his parents were missionaries in India, and that's how he got into all that. He plays like a flute, like all the wooden. Anyway, when his father passed, they had a little service in the church where they went, and he was up in the pulpit. Sonam was doing the whatever you call it. And then he started playing this music, and the church was kind of darkish. It wasn't a lot of, and he was up in the front there, and he started playing the music, and all of a sudden there was all this green light, and it just filled where he was, the whole area. And I talked to Lewis, and I said, "Did you see that?" And Lewis, a friend of mine, was saying, he said, "Yes." I said, I don't know if we're the only two that saw that. And I told Sonam about that later. I said, "I don't know if you realized." He said, "No, I didn't." I said, "But that's what I saw. Says green represents life."
Yes.
To me. And that was just the love, also love.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Nancy Gale. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to read the entirety of our Pathways of Light Insights, but it is lesson number 4, which I've been posting the lessons. These thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. And that's, to me, that's what we can apply to sickness and any thoughts and opinions and judgments we have of the body. So I'm just going to leave us with that. And next week we will continue chapter 27, section 2. the fear of healing. So thank you, everybody, for a wonderful conversation today. I love you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Love you. Bye.
Thank
Happy
you.
New
Thank
Year.
you all. Thank you,
Happy
Linda.
New Year.
Thank
Much
you.
love.
Bye for
Thank-
now.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you.